Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm the OPJellicent and we're team building here for week number 2 of UBL season number 3. My opponent this week is Vepsis, coach of the Helsinki Hydreigons. I don't know much about him, but apparently he's very good, and considering I'd spent a little bit less time than I usually do this week to build my team, ideally we don't struggle too much. But yeah, you can see his roster over on the right of your screen. You can see mine on the top. We'll go through his first, then I'll go ahead and show you guys the 6 Pokemon that I am bringing one by one. He has Mega Gallade. This is one of the bigger threats against my team just because it does outspeed pretty much all my offense. There are a few Pokemon that can threaten it out. For example, Crobat, if it is chipped down a little bit, Weavile can go ahead and force it out as well. As Selgor doesn't really force it out, I don't do too much damage. The one thing he might have to fear is Final Gambit, but a Swords Dance or Bulk Up set with just a few attacks could be very scary. Substitute is something I have to watch out for too. If I'm sacking a Pokemon to get another one in, and he subs up on that sack, that could be very problematic, so just gotta make sure I have a proper pivot, which I do on this team right here. He has Torrent Greninja. This is even a bigger threat than Mega Gallade, just due to the speed tier. It is one of his Z-move users as well, so I could see something like Z-Grass for Manaphy, Z-Dark just to go ahead and OHKO Pokemon like Mega Latios and Rotom-Heat could be cool. I do have a lure for this on my team, so I'm excited to go ahead and show that off, but yeah, I need sort of Z-move right here could work. Even Z-Rock for like Rotom-Heat, if he's expecting that Pasho Berry, could be very cool, but I do think Z-Water, Z-Grass, or Z-Dark make the most sense right here, and I just gotta make sure it doesn't get too many U-turns off and pivot out into those bigger threats like Gallade. That's going to be very problematic as well. Spike stacking is also something it can do, so I just gotta make sure I can reliably remove hazards right here. He has a Alolan Muck, which is one of his more reliable switch-ins to my Mega Latios. Now, Mega Latios does get Earthquake, but Alolan Muck does have ways to counter that. If he invests enough into defense, he can take 2 of them. He can also run Shika Berry. He can also just run a Curse set, so even if I Earthquake on the Switch, if he was to be like a Curse or Cycle variant and Curse as he lives too, I might not be in a very good spot there, so just gotta watch out for that. It does struggle against some of my other offense though. Hippowdon can go ahead and take it on even without any investment. Manaphy at +3 still blows it away like a Assault Vest variant, so I'm not too worried about that. Cobalion can deal with it as well, so I do have checks to it for sure. Gliscor is his 4th Pokemon right here, one of his Stealth Rock users, which Stealth Rocks aren't too big of a deal against me. They do wear down Pokemon like Rotom-Heat and Crobat, which are my primary defoggers, but I don't really need health on those Pokemon in particular right here. I just gotta be careful about Gliscor getting U-turns out, as Facade is definitely one of his better breaking sets right here, and I gotta make sure that if he does bring that, I have speed control for it, which I'm bringing a very offensive team right here, so I'm not really too worried about SD variants. It's just mostly about those U-turn momentum and trying to get the rocks off the field, regarding Gliscor right there. He has Dragalge. Dragalge could function under the Trick Room. He does have like a sort of Trick Room aspect to his team right here, between Diancie and Celebi setting that up, so just gotta watch out for that, but Dragalge is not really a Pokemon I switch in too well. I can take the Dragon Stab with Gourgeist, sorry, not Gourgeist, Granbull, that's the Pokemon, but other than that, I really don't switch into that Pokemon all too well. Dragon Stab even blows away Cobalion, which is very scary right here. Draco Meter does like 80+% with adaptability specs, if I'm not Assault Vest Cobalion, which I'm not, so just gotta be very careful about Dragalge right here. He has the Diancie. He actually did a lot of work with this last week. In fact, I think he won his game with it against Frosted, so just gotta watch out for Diancie as well. It's another Stealth Rock setter alongside the Gliscor, so if he wants to do like a roll compression, he can run like Trick Room Rocks Diancie with 2 attacks. I could definitely see that. Calm Mind would definitely be a cool set as well right here, but Trick Room is the main thing that I do have to worry about, alongside Rock Polish. Rock Polish could be a very big deal as well, especially if I don't bring a Scarfer to combat that speed tier at +2, so just something I have to watch out for as well. He has the Palace one right here, a 3rd Stealth Rocker. Cool pivot into Pokemon like Mega Latios, but I do get Energy Ball and Surf. Could also go ahead and pivot into Pokemon like my Weavile. It doesn't really care about the Ice Stab, and then, I mean, obviously Knockoff is a little bit troublesome because he wants to preserve the Eviolite, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes right here. I just do think that Gliscor is the better ground option against my team. He has Celebi, a 2nd Trick Room setter, a 4th Stealth Rock setter right here. More U-turn momentum right here, so I really have to prevent this momentum right here and make sure that this cycle doesn't start. But this is also a Pokemon that threatens my Manaphy out due to the Grass Stab, of course. U-turn does a sizable chunk to my Mega Latios. He can run Earth Power or even just Psychic for my Cobalion right here. Weavile does threaten this out. I could see Coldberry just to go ahead and take the Pursuit, or even take the Knockoff, but I could always go for Icicle Crash, which is even a more spammable attack than Knockoff against his team. The one thing that doesn't hit being the Alamomobile, I guess the Scissor too, so maybe he'll run Coldberry, I don't know, but yeah, Celebi is definitely something I can't take out of the picture right here. I do have Prep Fort on my Manaphy, so ideally that can go ahead and work out. He has Alomomola right here. I could see like Rindoberry Mirror Coat working out for the Manaphy right here. If he's expecting Tail Glow Energy Bell, that could definitely be a thing. I am not falling for that. I have a different strategy on my Manaphy to deal with Alomomola right here, but Alomomola also gets dual screens, just something I gotta watch out for right here. I believe it gets a Wish. Yeah, definitely gets a Wish. I don't know why I'm saying I believe. So you can go ahead and pass that into Pokemon that don't get as reliable of recovery, such as the Alolan Muck and the Diancie if that gets worn down. Just something I gotta keep in mind as well. Make sure he's not passing free Wishes. Get the calls right and I will be fine. He has Moltres, which Moltres isn't that big of a deal right here. I do pivot into it using Pokemon like a Rotom-Heat. Spidef Hiko to take it on right here. It is a Z-move user though, so if he gets like a boost in the sunny day, it could potentially be a late game cleaner. Just gotta keep that in mind as well, because I don't have good speed control for that, but it really struggles to break my team, just because if I invest a few EVs into Spidef on a few mons, being Manaphy and Mega Latios, it really needs those Z-moves to go ahead and pick up the Okos, so I really don't know what route he's gonna go with Moltres. And then finally Scizor, which Scizor kind of has a bad matchup right here. He kind of has to make calls with it because Cobalion takes its dual stab very well. I guess it is more U-turn momentum, it could be a defogger for him, but I'm not all too worried about Scizor right here. I can easily wear that down. It's not really stopping any of my best win conditions this week, and yeah, that's going to be his roster right here. If I have to call the 6 that he's bringing, I'm going to guess Mega Gallade, the Torrent Greninja, the Gliscor, the Growlithe, the Diancie, and some sort of mixture of Celebi or Alomomola is what I'm expecting right there. Those are the 6 or 7 that I'm expecting to come. Let's get right into my roster. Alright, starting off my team right here, we have Roy the Rotom-Heat. This is one of my lures for the Torrent Greninja. We have the Pasture Berry right there, with enough Spidef investment to go ahead and take a Z Hydro Pump, even after the Stealth Rocks damage, so that would be perfectly fine with me right here. Just the rest in defense, because why not? We have Willows, just to go ahead and be an Gliscor anti-lead. This pretty much deals with all his rockers that might want to lead, except for maybe Diancie. Like, I deal with the Gliscor, I deal with Piloswine, I deal with the Celebi, so this can pretty much go ahead and take all those on. This also provides me a switch into Pokemon like the Moltres. Scizor ideally, but he could be like the natural gift to rock, so just this is something I do have to watch out for. I can't take that into a Bullet Punch because of my HP and defense investment, so I'm not as worried as I might be about that, but it definitely would get sucked to Worn Down right here. Then just Crystal Volt Switch and Overheat right here. The main idea though is lure that Greninja, because that thing is one of the best forms of speed control and I do need to get that out of the game, or at least weaken as much as possible. Volt Switch will do like 80% to that. I was thinking about running Thunderbolt, but Volt Switch will do the job anyway, even though it's not picking up the Oko, because it will put it in range of Pokemon like my Manaphy no matter what, which I don't have grass coverage on, so that's definitely going to help me out. Let's go ahead and move right into my Manaphy. Alright, moving right along right here, we have Ultimate our Manaphy, which is running a Tail Glow Substitute variant. Substitute is my prep for the Alomomola. It pretty much renders both of its best options against this thing, being Toxic and Mirror Coat, useless because I can get the sub up, prevent a Toxic. Obviously, I'm not going to click Energy Ball, so if I get the sub up, he shows Mirror Coat, I can just Tail Glow up to +6, not really care, and we will be good to go right here. Regarding my EVs, the HP and Spidef is enough to go ahead and take a modest Fly Z from the Moltres even after the Stealth Rocks damage, so this can go ahead and take that on in case I end up in a bad spot versus it. The speed investment is just for any variant of Scizor. I don't want to get outrun by that thing, and then just the rest in defense, pretty much just to help sponge hits from the Mega Gallade, potentially the Alolan Muck, pretty much any physical attacker. He doesn't have a ton of them, but I guess Scizor would make sense too. Scarf Scizor could definitely be a thing. I want to be able to sponge the U-turns. Rindoberry is my item, obviously just for potential Z Grass Knot on the Greninja, alongside the Celebi right here, so we can go ahead and sponge those. Now, I don't Oko Greninja at +3. I would need 2 Tail Glows up, but ideally I'm able to go ahead and do that against Alomomola. And yeah, that is going to be Ultimate the Manaphy this week. Let's go ahead and talk about Gateway the Mega Latios. Okay, rounding out the first half of my team right here, we have Gateway the Mega Latios, which is running a similar concept to last week. We have Roost 3 attacks with specific tailored EVs to take on particular Pokemon right here. We have enough HP and Spidef investment to go ahead and take on Celebi's Dazzling Gleams. If he is timid, it is a max of 43%, so I can take 2 of those after the Stealth Rocks damage. If he is modest, it is a max of 49, so I can take those without the Stealth Rocks, of course. And ideally, he's not modest and has a Rock Sub. That would be a bad scenario. We can also pivot into Pokemon like my Rotom, or even my Cobalion on Celebi, so I'm not really too worried about it right here. We obviously have a max speed right here just to go ahead and speed tie with Gallade. I do have a way of wearing down Gallade slowly, so ideally we can go ahead and do that. And maybe just, if it just comes down to it, I can win the speed tie. That would be very cool. We do have Earthquake on here, obviously just for the Alolan Muck. Now, if he has Curse Alolan Muck with a lot of Fizz Def, he can set up alongside this, but I do have other prep for that right here, just due to Curse Alolan Muck's limited coverage, of course. Pursuit is something I do have to keep in mind as well. which could be very scary, but I don't plan on switching out if the Alolan Muck comes in. I'm just going to spam Earthquake because that's kind of stopping some of the other threats on my team. For example, my Crobat. It could stop my Manaphy depending on how fit Specef it is. I did say when going over his roster that Alolan Muck isn't that big of a deal, but ideally I can go ahead and keep my Rando Berry, prevent a knockoff on my Manaphy. Gateway can just go ahead and deal with that right here, and then just the rest in special attack as why not. That's going to be Gateway. Let's go ahead and move on to the second half of the team. Alright, moving into the second half of the team right here, we have Granbull, our Granbull. This is the dedicated Mega Gallade counter. I can go ahead and take a +1 Poison Jab, even after Stealth Rocks. Obviously Intimidate's going to make the +2 go down to +1, and I can just go ahead and bop him with Play Rough, which could be very cool right here. Toxic is mainly here just to go ahead and wear down Pokemon like Piloswine or Alomomola that would otherwise give this Pokemon a little bit of trouble right here. Fire Punch is there for Scissor. I do have ways of dealing with Scissor between Rotom-Heat and Cobalion, but my Mega Latios did not have fire coverage. I didn't have HP Fire on it, as you guys saw. I figured that Scissor could be one of the better pivots into Granbull right here, so I did want to go ahead and run that coverage. We have a -speed nature with 0 speed IVs just to go ahead and outslow Diancie under Trick Room. I was tempted to put Iron Tail on here over Toxic, but I figured that I might have in range of Play Rough because he has to take the turn to set up Trick Room, right? Ideally, I can go ahead and attack him that turn and get him in range of the Play Rough, and Play Rough can just go ahead and pick that thing off. So we do have a little bit of Trick Room prep right here, and ideally it can go ahead and work out. Heal Bell is great just for random status. I could see him running Toxic on the Gliscor. I could see Willows, Mega Gallade being a thing right here too, just to go ahead and catch Pokemon like Crobat if I'm predicting the Fighting type move. Although I don't see why I wouldn't click the Psychic type move in that scenario, but I did figure Heal Bell could be very cool right here. Moltres does have access to Flame Body, so I don't want to go ahead and end up getting burnt on Pokemon like my Cobalion or Crobat against that, so Heal Bell could be cool tech, and yeah, that's going to be Granbull coming for the first time this season. Let's go ahead and move on to the second Pokemon that's coming for the first time, my Cobalion. Alright, also coming for the first time this season, we have Pride the Cobalion, which is running a Rocks SD to attack set right here, with a little bit of Specef investment, which is mainly there just to go ahead and take a +1 Moonblast from the Diancie. I do have Shika Berry for the Earth Power, but if Diancie does set up a Calm Mind and it has Trick Room up, I do want to make sure I can go ahead and Revenge Kill it reliably if Pokemon like my Manaphy are weakened. So I do have Cobalion right here with a bit of Specef. I can take the Moonblast and go ahead and Iron Head him back and knock him out right here. Sacred Sword is there over close combat because I'm a little bit scared of Curse Alolan Muck. Sacred Sword does ignore the defense boost, so I can go ahead and break through that reliably with Swords Dance plus Sacred Sword because I'm not expecting any sort of fire coverage or fighting coverage on a Curse set. I guess he might run it like Curse or Cycle and then 2 attacks being knockoff and then maybe Fire Punch or even Brick Break, so that could definitely be a thing. But even at +1, I'm not taking too much damage. I can SD up Sacred Sword through it right here. I can easily get up rocks on some of his bulkier Pokemon, such as the Alomomola, even the Celebi, which doesn't 2-hit KO me with Psychic due to my Specef investment, and then of course Gliscor as well. The Shika Berry also helps me set up on Gliscor and Piloswine. If I get the SD up, Gliscor is only doing like 20% with Earthquake. The first time I can go down and 2-hit KO him back with Iron Head. He's also playing around flinch chances, and this is also a Pokemon he doesn't really respond to very well. I can just spam Iron Head, and he's really not going to switch in all too well. Alomomola would be the best thing, and even that doesn't want to take Sacred Swords. It doesn't do too much back to me. Kind of has to rely on a Scald Burn, so the idea here is just get up my rocks, make sure that I can check the Alolan Muck if I have to, if it is Curse for example, and just try to wall break his team with the SD2 attacks right here, and we should be good to go. One Pokemon left, let's go ahead and talk about my Crobat. Okay, and rounding out the team right here, we have Labyrinth, our Crobat, which is once again the Z-move user this week. We got the Flyneem Z right there. We have Mono attacking, we only have Brave Bird. It's a really spammable type against his team right here. The one thing that might take it on is the Diancie, and it also outspeeds his entire team, so this is pretty much the best bring I could have brought this week. I decided to go ahead and save it for the last Pokemon right here. We got the Z-move, which allows me to go ahead and pressure Pokemon like the Gliscor, guarantee an OHKO on any sort of Mega Gallade and Greninja, which is great. The HP investment that I have right there is pretty much just to help me take on Bandit, Alolan Muck. If he bands into knockoff, I can go ahead and take those, roost the damage off without really caring right here, and I can go ahead and break through the Alolan Muck reliably, so this is a secondary check to that. Now the one thing that I do have to be careful about is like Bandit Crunch or Bandit Ice Punch. I can just scout for the attack though, and depending on whether I know he's Bandit or not, I can just make the appropriate pivot, of course, but we have Roost right here for longevity because that is my way of 1v1ing that. Taunt is great because I can go ahead and maybe prevent Diancie from setting up a Rock Polish or Trick Room. If he's in a position where he pretty much wins the game by doing that, I can prevent that right there. It prevents recovery on a lot of Pokemon, for example, Alomomola. If Gliscor takes the Z-move, I don't want that roosting it off for free. Taunt can go ahead and prevent that. And then of course we have the fast defog right here, enough of speed investment for the Greninja, so I outspeed his entire team, not Choice Scarfed or no Z-move users such as the Z Sunny Day Game Ultra, so that's really great right here. Fast Defog is really valuable. I'm really scared of spike stacking from the Gran. Rocks are such a big nuisance against my team, for example, from the Glide Score, so the Fast Defog is very valuable right here. Infiltrator is cool too, just to go ahead and break through subs on the Mega Gallade. Maybe sub Greninja, and yeah, that's going to be the team. So ideally we can go ahead and pick up a win right here. Like I said, I'm not too confident in the team. I maybe could have spent more time on it, but I could also see Vepsis being a playoff opponent, which is one of the reasons I did not spend as much time as I might have. I do think Vepsis is like top 4, if not the best player in this league, so ideally this team can go ahead and work out, but we shall see. The match will be going live tomorrow at 10 AM Eastern. I hope you all tune in then, and yeah, I'll see you later.